Hello friends, I am P. Sujatha, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of Economics, A.D.M.COLLEGE for Women, Nagapattinam. Now, I am going to explain about the concept of sampling theory and types of sampling. So, what is sampling theory? Sampling theory is a field within statistics that focuses on the collection, analysis and interpretation of data gathered from a subset of a large population. There are various methods of samplings, each with its some advantages and disadvantages. So, what are the main types of sampling? One is probability sampling, another one is non-probability sampling. Now, I am explaining about what is population and what is sample. The aggregate of all the units of an investigation is called population. For example, if the investigation is on the housing condition of the locality, all the houses in that locality constitute the population. The sample is a part of population or a few units of population. For example, a handful of rice taken from a shock of rice constitute the sample. So, population is overall unit, the subunit is called as sample. Methods of data collection. The collection data, there are two methods. One is census method, another one is sample method. Now, I will going to explain about what is census method and the sample method. Under census method, the information is collected from each and every unit of the population. For example, if we are going to the average expenditure of the students of Badasan University, and if there are 500 students studying in that university, we must study the expenditure of all 5,000 students. This method is known as census method. So, also called as census survey. Next one method is sample method. So, the census method has some merit and demerit. Merits are the data are collected from each and every unit of the population. The results are more accurate and reliable. The intensive study is possible. Data collected may be used for various surveys. And also some demerits, it requires more time, money, energy, etc. It is a costly method. The government only can use this census method because it is not possible where the universe is infinite. Next one is sample method or sample survey. Only a part of population will be studied in the case of sample survey. For example, the housewife tests a small quantity if the rice to see whether it has been well cooked, but will not instead of all the rice. What are the merits of sample method? It saves time, money and energy. Sampling provides more detailed information about an item. It's more reliable research can be obtained. Sampling method is sometimes the only method possible if the population is infinite. It's administrative inconvenient. It is more scientific method. Demerits of sample method. Choosing a representative sample is very difficult. Only expert can probably generalize the result of sample to the population. If the sample is not representative of the population, the result may be false or and misleading. There may be personal biases and prestige regarding the choice of techniques and drawing of sampling unit. Inaccurate result may be obtained if the size of population is inadequate. Next, I will going to explain about what are the methods of sampling? The sampling is classified into two categories. One is random sampling, another one is non-random sampling. Random sampling method or probability sampling method. It consists of simple or unrestricted random sampling. Restricted random sampling further divide systematic random sampling, stratified random sampling, cluster random sampling. Non-random sampling method further classified in judgment sampling, convenience sampling and quota sampling. So next I will explain one by one. First one is simple random sampling. So what is simple random sampling? So the simple random sampling, also known as unrestricted random sampling, is the most straightforward type of probability sampling. In this method, every member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. This ensures that the sample is representative of the whole population. It reduces bias and allows for the generalization of results. There are two methods of random sampling. One is lottery method, another one is table of random numbers. Lottery method, the procedure can be easily described. Consider an example. Let a sample size of 25 be required from the population of 200. Prepare 200 cards or pieces of paper, same size and color. Write on each of them the name or other distinct mark of one unit of the population. Fold them uniformly and shuffle them well. 25 of them are to be selected. So in this way you have to select the sample. Second one method is table of random method. The unit of the population are first assigned numbers for identification. Consecutive numbers are noted from the table of random number. Those unit of population constitute the sample. For example, let random sample of 30 students be recorded from the college where 914 students are studying the college. We assign the student 3-digit numbers, for example 000, 001, 002, that way 913. We start at any 3-digit number and make note of the subsequent number row wise or column wise. So in this way you have to select the simple random method, choosing maybe a lottery method or table of random. So what is the steps followed to select the samples? Using simple random sampling method. Define the population. First, to clearly define the population from which you want to draw a sample. Second, determine the sample size. Decide the number of individuals you want to include in the sample. Third one is list the population. Create the list of all the members of the population. Fourth, to assign number. Assign a unique number to each members of the population. Select random number. Use a random number generator, random number table, or draw names out of a hat to select a set of unique number corresponding to the member of the population. So in this way, you have to select the sample. So the simple random sampling advantages and as well as some disadvantages. Advantages are unbiased. each member of the population has an equal chance of being included, reducing the risk of selection bias. Simplicity. The method is straightforward and easy to implement. Statistical properties. Facilitates the use of statistical techniques to analyze results and make inferences about the population. So these are the advantages of simple random sampling. Disadvantages. One is impractical, recurring sampling frame, randomness challenges. It cannot always practical for large population if creating a complete list of population is difficult. Require a sampling frame. A complete list of population is needed, which may not always be available or easy to obtain. Randomness challenges. Ensuring true randomness in selection can be challenging without appropriate tools or techniques. The advantage and disadvantage of simple random sampling. For example, if using simple random sampling, a researcher wants to select a sample of 10 students from a university with a total enrollment of 10,000 students. The researcher could list all the 10,000 students, assign each student a unique number from 1 to 10,000, and then use a random number generator to pick 100 numbers. The students corresponding to these numbers would be included in the sample. So, simple random sampling is a fundamental technique in statistical research, and it's widely used when the conditions allow for it. So, ensuring that the sample accurately reflects the characteristics of the population. Second one is a restricted random sampling. So, the restricted random sampling refers to the sampling techniques that allows certain restrictions or constraints to ensure that sample more accurately represents specific characteristics of the population. These methods still involve random selection but include additional steps or rules to address particular research needs or constraints. The restricted random sampling helps improve the representativeness or precision of the sample. What are the types of restricted random sampling? Systematic sampling, stratified sampling, and cluster sampling. I will explain one by one. First one is systematic random sampling. A systematic random sampling is a type of probability sampling method where samples are selected from a large population according to a fixed periodical interval. So, this interval called the sampling interval. This calculated by dividing the population size by the desired sample size. The first element is selected randomly and the subsequent elements are chosen using the sampling interval. For example, if the sample size of 25 is required from the population of 200, how to calculate? The sample size equal the total size of population divided by the size of sample equal to 200 divided by 8 to get 25. If the member say 7, so 7 is selected from the first 8 numbers by lottery method The other numbers of the samples are, first you select 7 plus 8, 15, 15 plus 8, 23, 23 plus 8, 31, such that 199. So the desired sample size we reach, then you continue the process. So what is the steps in systematic random sampling? First to the same step, define the population. Clearly define the entire population you want to study. Define the sample size. Decide the total number of individuals to include in the sample. Calculate the sample interval. Divide the population size by the desired sample size. Then to find the interval. Fourth one, randomly selecting the starting point. So, choose a random starting point between 1 and k. Selecting the subsequent element. Select every k element from the starting point until the desired sample size is reached. For example, the systematic random sample using researchers. So, want to sample of 100 employers from a company with 1,000 employees. So, to calculate the sampling interval, total number of employees divided by the sample. So, number of sample you want to select, and 1000 divided by 100 get 10. So, the researcher randomly select a starting point between 1 and 10, say 7. The sample would then include employees at position 7, then 7 plus 10, 17, 17 plus 10, 27, 27 plus 37, and so on up to 997. So, in this way you have to select the sample. So, the systematic random sample is a very easiest method. It has some advantages or disadvantages. First one is it's a simplicity, easier to implement and understand compared to some other sampling method. It is efficiency, require less effort and time than simple random sampling, because only one random number is needed. Even coverage. Ensure a spread out sample across the entire population, reducing the risk of clustering. Disadvantages. Periodicity. If the population has a hidden periodic pattern that coincides with the sample interval, it can reduce bias. Not always random. The method is less random than simple random sampling, since only the starting point is randomly chosen. So, it is a systematic random sampling. Next one is stratified sampling. So, what is stratified sampling? So, under this method, the population is divided into different groups or classes called strata, and a sample is drawn from each stratum at random. The aggregate of samples of all strata is called stratified random sampling. Example, age, gender, income level, etc. For example, if we are interested in the study of unemployment problem in India, we divide into a number of regions, and from each region a sample is made. Aggregate of all samples from the region is stratified random sample. There are two types of stratified random sample: proportional stratified sampling, disproportional stratified sampling. Thank you.